I should be good to go.
Oh, really?
But
We'll see.
I don't know. Joel needs to get back for a lot more reasons than just school board meeting stuff. He's got his hands in a lot of different projects that are suffering without him. Not officially, but kind of officially, like
I thought he was going to speak earlier. He just came to show up.
yeah, he just came for backup in case someone called him up to the desk. Yeah, Joe's never. That was the first time Joe's ever been in this boardroom when I've been here.
1 minute. Did that go out? Do you think that doesn't seem like anybody heard me? 1 minute. Well, so no, they'll need the flags. Well. Well. We will have a 5-minute delay on the start of the meeting. There was a time problem with our honor guard, and we do not want to miss them.
What's that? No, what they said is they won't have to miss it except for power tonight, so they can show them 5 minutes late.
At this time, I'd like to ask our student representative, please stand, and I'd like to ask our student representative, Cassie Greenan, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mark time. Mark. Right. Date. Hold. Color. Read that. Arm. Shoulder. Arm. Left. Face. Forward.
thank you to the Sarasota High School's JROTC. So I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you to our school board meeting this Tuesday, May 4th, 2021. And I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that May 4th is also Star Wars Recognition Day. I don't know, it's not a national or an international, it might be an intergalactic holiday, and I just want to say to all of you, may the 4th be with you. The public is encouraged and welcome to address the school board at the hearing of citizens. If you wish to speak during the hearing of citizens, please pick up a card like this at the back of the chambers, print your name clearly, and turn it into our assistant, Kathy Thomas, and you will be called at the appropriate time to speak. Today, our student representative is from Sarasota High School, Cassie Greenan. Welcome, Cassie. It's nice to hear you. For you to join us as the student representative. Please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi, I am Cassie Greenan at Sarasota High School. I'm a senior this year. I'm very involved at Sarasota High. I'm the valedictorian. I'm a part of the ACE program, the MASS program, and the STRIDE program. I'm also a part of our clubs, such as the Enviro Club, the one I'm here for today, Student Government, National Honor Society, Science National Honor Society. So I'm very involved on campus. In the future, though, in the fall, I am going to attend University of Florida. Go Gators. Majoring in biomedical engineering on a pre-med track. I will be in the honors program and plan to also go to med school and ultimately become a pediatric neurologist.
It never ceases to amaze me what all of our seniors are involved in. Could you tell us a little bit about the civility squad character trait for May and how it affects you?
Yeah, so this month the civility squad is to keep your energy upbeat is a surefire way to battle defeat. So now this does seem very difficult. As I'm a senior, I'm going through the same struggles that everyone's going through. But it is very important to stay positive and to look at the bright side. So at Sarasota High School, they've made a big effort to make sure that the campus is seen as upbeat. They have the school spirit still going on, powder puff games, various things, and decorating the hallways to definitely feel like the normal school year. I personally am remote, so I might have issues when it comes to staying upbeat. It's easy to get lost in the moment, but it's definitely important to not take those things for granted. I definitely work on a daily basis to make sure that I'm looking at the bright side. It's easy to see the glass half empty, but I need to learn to cherish the things that I do have because a lot of things were taken granted for when it comes to prom, graduation, whatever that may be. But myself, my student colleagues, and Sarasota High School has definitely made an effort to stay upbeat.
Well, thank you very much. And we have a certificate of appreciation I'd like to present to you. And on a serious note, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, but May 15th is also the Peace Officers Memorial Day, and I have a proclamation to read to you. Whereas Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which it falls as Police Week, and whereas the members of law enforcement in the Sarasota County Schools Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of all citizens, students, staff, and visitors of the Sarasota County School District, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, responsibilities of their police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, and by protecting them against violence or disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And whereas the Sarasota County Schools Police Department has grown to be a modern and scientific law enforcement agency which unceasingly provides a vital public service. And whereas I, Chair of the Sarasota County School Board, Shirley Brown, call upon all citizens within the Sarasota County School District to observe the week of May 9th, 2021 as Police Week with appropriate ceremonies in which all people may join in commemorating police officers, past and present, who, by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities, have rendered a dedicated service to their communities, and in doing so have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I further call upon all citizens of the Sarasota County School District to observe Saturday, May 15th, 2021, as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those peace officers who, through their courageous deeds, have lost their lives or have become disabled in the performance of duty. Now, therefore, I, Shirley Brown, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the Chair of the Sarasota County School Board, do hereby honor law enforcement officers across the county and the Sarasota County Schools Police Department proudly proclaim the week of May 9th as Police Week and as May 15th as Police Officers Memorial Day. Please join me in thanking them. Our next presentation is to recognize the 2021 Environthon winners. Would Steve Cantis please approach the podium? And I believe Matt Woodall.
So good evening. We're here tonight. We're going to recognize some of our students for their participation and successful participation in the Environthon this year. The Environthon is a hands-on, problem-based environmental competition. Dr. Sarah Burkett, she's our high school science program specialist, and Mr. Matthew Woodall from the Sarasota Soil and Water Conservation District are here to tell you more about the partnership between the Soil and Conservation District and Sarasota County Schools, and recognize our students for their outstanding achievement for this year's competition. We have 3 schools that will be recognized tonight, and several students from those 3 schools. So I'm going to ask Sarah Burkett to come up, and she will introduce Mr. Woodall.
Thank you, Mr. Cantis. Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Asplin, all of our school board members, district council, and student representative Cassie Grennan. Again, as Mr. Cantis said, my name is Dr. Sarah Burkett, and I'm the high school science program specialist for Sarasota County Schools. And when I was in the classroom, my students did participate in the Envirothon. And now I work with teachers to help coordinate, and also all of our amazing community partners, such as the Soil and Water Conservation District, to support our Envirothon. Every year, Sarasota County High School students have the opportunity to compete in the regional Minnesota Envirothon, and this year was no exception, even with COVID. So we took things to the virtual. And as a result, the Soil and Water Conservation District, in partnership with the Forestry Association, our educators, and other cooperating natural resource agencies, worked together to organize and conduct competitions in 5 different categories. Those categories were soil and land use, aquatic ecology, forestry, wildlife, and current environmental issues. Now, during the competition, student teams work collaboratively to apply their knowledge of ecology and natural resource management to solve environmental problems. The Envirothon program is an asset to Sarasota County students as it provides an opportunity for student growth, collaboration, and application of knowledge to solve current environmental issues. Tonight, members of the Soil Conservation District Board of Supervisors, Mr. Matthew Woodall and Addie Bach, are here to present our students with awards for this year's Regional Minnesota Envirothon. Mr. Woodall.
Thank you, Dr. Burkett. Superintendent, members of the board, it is quite a pleasure to be here with you this evening to present the awards for our annual Envirothon winners. As you know, it was changed to a Zoom event, remote due to the pandemic, and we typically have a very nice luncheon was put on by our sponsors to properly thank the kids and recognition of their dedication for all the students as well as the winners. I'd also like to take this opportunity because so very many few of you are aware of our mission and role at the Sarasota Soil and Water Conservation District to just let you know a little bit about our conservation district. In fact, conservation districts in Florida were established by the Florida legislature under Florida Statute 582 in 1937 to help oversee the state's natural resources management, and shortly thereafter, the Sarasota Soil and Water Conservation District was created. Over the years, as challenges have faced our natural resources, the district has grown and adapted to meet emerging needs. Governed by its countywide elected board of 5 supervisors, the Sarasota Soil and Water Conservation District is one of nearly 3,000 conservation districts nationwide. Among its primary functions, the Sarasota Soil and Water Conservation District works to educate, communicate, assist, support, coordinate, and promote best conservation practices through programs, projects, and activities designed for families, farmers, schools, civic clubs, businesses, individuals, and agricultural interests in inner city, urban, suburban, and rural communities. Our board meets monthly and the public is invited to attend. Incidentally, some of y'all know our long-standing chair, who has been the chairman of our board spanning 2 centuries and 4 decades. Todd was supposed to be here this evening, but a bull got loose down at the ranch, and so he had to go and wrangle that back. I'm pleased to be joined by Supervisor Audie Elizabeth Bach, who is enjoying her 2nd term in service to the citizens of Sarasota County as a member of the Board of Supervisors. We also enjoyed the service of Admiral Steve Horton, United States Navy retired, who joined after being elected this past November, as well as Mr. Richard Suggs. We're pleased to have him help us as well from Northport. So those are a couple of things I wanted to share with you. Also, as we know, especially several of us in this room, a lot of our events and activities would not be able to happen without the sponsorship. And we could not do the annual Envirothon, remote or otherwise, without the Sarasota Farm Bureau, Keep Sarasota County Beautiful, Mosaic, the Manatee Fish and Game Association, Keep Manatee Beautiful, the Southwest Florida Water Management District, and our other partners include the Florida Forest Service, the Manatee County Agriculture and Extension Service, Manatee County Parks and Natural Resources, the University of Florida Institute of Food and Science, Sarasota Extension and Sustainability Office, and our primary partner, the United States Department of Agriculture and Natural Resources Conservation Service. So now that that has been taken care of, let's get on with the hardware, shall we? Let's see. Sarah, ready? Dr. Burkett? Okay. In 3rd place, from Outdoor Academy, where David Mahler is headmaster, team coached by Kimberly Walsh. Their team consisting of Harper Campbell, Ada Giraldo, Kaylee Shockey, Dylan Block, Ella Chepik, and Kimberly Walsh. Accepting for them this evening is their coach, Miss Kimberly Walsh. Stand right here. And she can just get the rest of them, take them back to. Okay, getting the silver this evening. From Suncoast Polytechnical High School, Principal Jack Turgeon, are the Suncoast Polytech High School Renegades. Max Ridley, Logan Stuttgart, Laith Name, Embry Lipoff, and Keen Verhagen. Coach Nina Henderson. Do we have Miss Nina Henderson? And our 2021 Sarasota Envirothon champions are from Sarasota High School, where Mr. David Jones is principal, the Tree Thuggers. Incidentally, I know Mr. Jones is here somewhere. I saw him. Yeah, could you come on up with your team? The Sailors achieved 99% on their wildlife category. That is an Envirothon, that is a Sarasota Envirothon first. The Tree Thuggers include Ben Miller, Helen Kayla, Loie Mulholland, Isabel Harden, Nick Powers, Sam Powers, and Cassie Grennan. Congratulations and job well done. and they get the trophy. So again, Board Superintendent, thank you very much for offering us this opportunity. Special thanks to Board Chairwoman, Ms. Shirley Brown, for helping to coordinate this. We greatly appreciate this opportunity. This is our marquee event, and we're very honored to have this opportunity to present these awards. Good evening, and thank you again.
Thank you. Would the winners like to come up front? All the classes come up front for a picture?
So all of you, why don't you all come up front with the coaches, if you would, please, and we'll get it.
Perhaps the number 1 team here in the middle and then one on either side?
You all get in there. Get in the picture. Get in the picture first. David?
Cassie, move on down a little bit. Yeah, so you're more, okay, that's enough. With their coaches. Yeah, you couldn't squeeze in between them. Yeah, go ahead and stand in front of me, Steve. Thank you. You don't have to be polite and stay for the rest of it. You can leave now if you want to. That would be fine. We have another presentation, though. We have another presentation for the All-State music students. Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Goodwin wanted to say something. Go ahead, Jane.
Well, I just wanted to thank the Conservation Board, the Water Conservation Board, for putting this event on, and to say to Matt Woodall, whom I happen to know way too well, that I know how hard you all worked on this, and this has been a challenging year. We haven't had the opportunity to do field trips and some of the things that you and others on your board would like, but you are out there and you do a great job. I've had the opportunity of sitting in on your board meetings, and I've learned what a ranchette is and a lot of other things in agriculture that I probably didn't know before that, but you do an exceptional job. You do an exceptional job for students, helping us to make sure that agriculture continues to be an important part, and conservation of agriculture and of our lands, water, and so forth continue to be at the forefront of what our students and our citizens need to know about these things. So I just want to say thank you very much for being here today, and we really appreciate the work that you're doing with our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Next, we have All-State Music Students and Student Achievement in Art. Angela Hartfordson, would you please approach the podium?
Hello. Good evening, Chair Brown, board members, Dr. Asplin, Mr. Dugan, and Cassie. I'm so glad to be here with you tonight to continue to keep you apprised of our student accomplishments and highlights in the arts. Tonight we'll honor our All-State music students, and I'll highlight also a few art exhibits and some of our talented young artists. And we'll switch over to the PowerPoint here when we have a chance. Thank you. Although this year looked a little bit different as far as All-State went, everything looked a little bit different. So I'm going to sort of walk you through. This year we had 38 All-State students from 11 different schools. We had students represent our district in 12 music ensembles at the All-State level, either in band, chorus, or orchestra. They represented 18 different school programs here in Sarasota County Schools and 18 different teachers. They were selected either by audition or teacher recommendation, depending on the ensemble. They could not meet as ensembles as they usually do in Tampa in January, as is the norm, but they did meet virtually. They've met virtually numerous times. They had conversations with the conductors that were supposed to be their clinicians for the year, and college professors from all across the state and the country. They had master classes with professional musicians from across the state focusing on their specific instrument or vocal range. They had opportunities to collaborate and bond with each other virtually as an ensemble all around their sort of love of music. I'm going to highlight all of our different students very quickly. I so appreciate our teachers helping us get these pictures of our talented all-state students and the principals. And we worked hard to include our remote students and all of the students that were there. From Booker High School, we have Jalen Gentile. She was in the senior high SSAA chorus, that's a treble chorus. Genesis Gutierrez, high school mixed chorus. Mr. Alexander Zikafu's teacher and proud principal, Dr. Shetley. Booker Middle School, Taltos Fusfas, middle school band, Zach McKee teacher, and Dr. Frost principal. Imagine School at Northport, Aiden Emil, 7th and 8th grade honor band, Clayton Washburn, high school honor band, Phoebe Walden teacher, John Halcomb principal. Laurel Nokomis School, both Mia Snyder and John Kotkowitz were in the 7th and 8th grade honor band. Their band director is Angela McKenzie, and their proud principal, Mr. Ray Wilson. Northport High School had a student, Bianca Vidal, in the symphonic 11th and 12th grade band, Dr. Owen Bradley teacher, Brandon Johnson principal. Pineview School had a number of students in different ensembles. In the bands, we had Julian Chauhan, concert 9th and 10th grade band, and Roland Carson, symphonic 11th and 12th grade band. Mr. Mangello, their teacher, and Dr. Covert, their principal. They had a number of chorus students. Aditya Moes and Shalini Nair were in the middle school mixed chorus. Gabrielle Delea, Grant Miller and Juliette Pauling in the middle school treble chorus. Janice Creighton, senior high treble chorus. Dylan Barton and Ryan Hunick, senior high TTBB chorus. Seth Gardner, teacher. Dr. Covert, their principal. They also had a member of the orchestra. Matrick Thorpe was a member of the middle school orchestra. Christopher Mink, teacher, and proud Dr. Covert, principal. Riverview High School, Sophia Tarleton was in the symphonic 11th and 12th grade band. Mr. Andy Dubert is their teacher, and Erin Del Castillo, principal. Riverview High School had a number of chorus students, and I appreciate Mr. Verdoni being creative in how he posed the students. We had Savannah Swanson and Jacqueline Gibson in the senior high SSAA chorus, Nathaniel Mizrahi, high school mixed chorus, Alexandra Albern, senior high SSAA chorus, Benjamin Anderson, high school mixed chorus, Sitar Ben Harut, Brooke Kaufner, and Anna Kiefer, senior high SSAA chorus. Also had Alexa Ziff, senior high SSA chorus, and Mia Albern, also senior high SSAA chorus, Mr. David Verdoni, teacher, Erin Del Castillo, principal. Sarasota Middle School had Joanna Graysick in the 7th and 8th grade honor band, Tamara Lewis, teacher, and Dr. Lori Breslin, principal. Sarasota Middle also had Tasman Henry in the middle school mixed chorus, Nadia Sava, teacher, and Dr. Breslin, principal. Sarasota School of Arts and Sciences, Gregory Page, 7th and 8th grade honor band, Shanna Holland, teacher, Tara Tomash, principal. Venice High School, Annabelle Dollard, high school honor band, David Wing, teacher, Eric Jackson, principal. Venice High also had a chorus member with Sophie Music Greiner, senior high SSAA chorus, Brittany Smith, teacher, and Mr. Eric Jackson, principal. And lastly, they had an orchestra member. Haley Sprague was in the symphonic 11th and 12th grade orchestra. Mr. Chris Riley is her teacher, and of course, Mr. Jackson, principal. Woodland Middle School, Blair Jarvis was in the 7th and 8th grade honor band. Tom Dubert, teacher, and Dr. Cindy Hall and Jeff Radick, principal. And lastly, for our all-state students, Amy Lee from Woodland Middle School was in the middle school mixed chorus with Jace Schmidt as her teacher and Dr. Hall and Mr. Radick as principals. We're extremely proud of all of our talented musicians. They are watching from home, and they're going to be watching also on demand as they're able to, but their teachers reached out and just said, we're so proud of them. Can we honor them as we do every year, even though we can't all be there? So a quick hand for all of our all-state students. And then I wanted to also do a few quick updates on visual art. Thank you to those of you that have been talking about and managed to attend the North County Art Show at Art Center Sarasota. It just came down yesterday, but as good things come to an end, other great things come to a beginning. The South County Art Show was installed yesterday and is up through the 19th. So I believe I sent information to everybody if you want to go and check it out. It's really amazing to see our art students from kindergarten through 12th grade and see that progression. So thank you for your support on that. I wanted to highlight two art, one exhibit and one competition that we recently participated in. One is the Black Muse student exhibit, sponsored by the Suncoast Black Arts Collaborative. A special thank you to their president, Michelle Redwine, and her officers and board for this valuable opportunity for our students. And it really supports our young students of color to find ways to be involved in the creative arts and continue that interest. It's a partnership with our school district. It was in its second year this past year, and focuses on February. So there was an exhibit at Art Center Sarasota of that student work. I'm going to highlight a couple of the pieces as we go through a few more informational slides here. It showcased the work of 20 young artists this year. You can see Fence here by Amy Casaban from Sarasota High School. It also featured visual artwork from Booker, Riverview, Sarasota, and Northport High Schools. And this beautiful painting by Gisela Coakley from Sarasota High School. There also is a pilot program that's beginning with 8th grade art students from Booker Middle School, with the hope that we can build that articulation from middle school and have those students continue in the arts into high school. This particular piece is not from a Booker Middle student. It's Marcus Drummond from Northport High School. And a couple more pieces just quickly. The top row, we have Sadie Smith from Booker High. Marcus Drummond on the bottom, and then also Lisa Snipes Williams. So we're very appreciative of the community support and unique opportunities that our community brings to us and allows our students to really begin their journey in the arts. So thank you to Black Muse exhibit and Suncoast Black Arts Collaborative. The last exhibit I wanted to tell you about, or the art contest, is the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards. This is actually a national contest that's been around since 1923. Students in grades 7 through 12 can apply in 28 categories of art or writing, and we're an art region primarily. If students want to do writing, they can enter at the at-large level. And you can see some of the notable alumni. There are so many to list, but Charles White, Andy Warhol, Amanda Gorman, Kay Walking Stick, etc. Students enter at our level, the regional level, and can get a gold key, silver key, or honorable mention award. Regional gold keys go on to the national level. Medalists at the national level are eligible for scholarships and inclusion in scholastic traveling exhibits, exhibitions that stay in one spot, and then their publications. Our region had 172 submissions this year, 78 awards. We had 10 schools participate and 15 teachers. I'm going to highlight a few of these pieces. These are our American Vision Award winners. This is a student at Northport High School, Evan Burtis Sample, Spiraling Time, and the American Visionary Awards are sort of an extra level of highlight and recognition as they go on, and his teacher is Marilyn Caruso. A Mask of My Disguise, Alex Labonte, American Visionary Award in Drawing and Illustration as well. Instructor Cynthia Hamilton at Venice High School. Dawn But Not Forgotten, Chow Mai, American Visionary Award in Drawing and Illustration. She also received a gold key in her portfolio, which you'll hear more about in just a moment. Dr. Henson Dacey at Venice High School. Two amazing students in the film and animation program at Booker High School, Marin Timpey and Tallulah Bonifield, had their film Empty Nest recognized here as an American Visionary Award winner but it also garnered a National Gold Key and an American Visions Medal. So those two did an incredible job. I will follow up with a link to this short film for all of you. It's really outstanding, and it's hard to represent that in a still. But congratulations, especially to Marin and Tallulah. And then lastly, Chow Mai also did garner a national silver medal for her portfolio entitled Children. And you can see some really beautiful work there. So though things have been different, our arts teachers and students have been working hard as well, making sure that they're able to create the art that they love so much and continue their creativity as it goes on. So we really appreciate all of our teachers that have supported that and the support of all of our school leaders and our district leaders as well. So thank you to all of you, and let's give one more hand to all of our talented students.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to be able to honor our students in these areas. And, you know, I hope that we encourage these students to not only do it as a hobby or something they like, but perhaps look at it as a profession. We move on now to the superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, I wanted to mention that besides May being Mental Health Awareness Month, this week is National Teacher Appreciation Week. And so we definitely need to appreciate all of our teachers. And I know especially this year it's been so difficult. And they have really done a good job with the concurrent teaching model of having students in front of them and teaching students online at the same time. I just want to say how proud I am of them. I know they love and care for their students, and they do such a great job of collaborating together and creating the lessons that students need and providing a high quality education. So thank you so much to all the teachers. If you're listening out there, we really appreciate all that you do. And I think we need to give our teachers a round of applause. I also want to thank the Patterson Foundation. We have something called EdExplore SRQ, and it's a website that allows our teachers to connect their students with rich arts and sciences. And the Patterson Foundation helps us out with that, and with $50,000 to help our students reach their goal and providing at least one exploration for each child during the school year. So thank you to the Patterson Foundation. Also, I wanted to mention the town halls. You know, we've had, I guess, 4 now. One at Northport, one at Venice, one at Riverview, and one at Booker High School. And I just want to say thank you to all the people who showed up at the town hall meetings, and for those of you who are online participating in the Mentimeter process and answering those questions. You know, we were really trying to get some concerns that you might have, successes, challenges from the area in which you live, so that we can utilize that as we create our strategic plan going into next year. So it was very good to get the information. We were able to compile that information. I know at one night we received 3,600 comments, which was absolutely amazing. And so that can only help us as we move forward. And I just want to say how much I appreciate everyone coming and sharing their information, sharing their thoughts with us. So thank you for that. Also, I was able to visit the math team at Pineview that was actually in a competition and won #1 in the entire nation. And I know I mentioned it during the workshop today, but I wanted to mention it again. Joe Binswinger and I went there to see the math team and talk to them. And I must say, they are absolutely amazing. Obviously, they won first place in the entire nation. But on top of that, you know, there's a few things that we have going on in our district that require logistical thinking, and I know Mr. Dumas works with that every single day. And these students have agreed to at least come together with us and have a conversation about a couple of the issues that we wanted to throw out there and just get their thoughts and ideas as how to solve them. And so we really appreciate them, and they are amazing students. Also made it out to the Inglewood Show Choir, which was really good. Those K to 5 students just did an amazing job dancing and singing. And I know Brian Hirsch was there, and Angela, you were there as well. We were judges that night. That was fantastic. It was great. And then the Academic Olympics. I wanted to mention that at Cranberry Elementary, and this was outside, they had tables set up, and students could come with their families. And at each table, there was different areas of reading, for instance, phonics, phonemic awareness, fluency, vocabulary. And the students were able to work with the teacher at the table and kind of show their parents what they knew. And I'll tell you, that was really fantastic. And so hats off to the teachers out there at Cranberry Elementary. Great job. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was we did hire a new HR executive director, and unfortunately she couldn't be here tonight. I think she wasn't feeling well. But I wanted to mention that because, in our district, if you look back, I think it's been a year, maybe over a year now, that we haven't had a human resources executive director leading the human resources department. And our person, Dr. Allison Foster, she used to be the principal at Philippi Elementary. She's going to do a fantastic job for us. And right now she just started last week, but we're really starting to work on a lot of different areas, including, I want everybody to know this, customer service, for instance, customer service, recruitment, hiring the very best people, mentoring, onboarding, all the things that go into the human resources department. Investigations, evaluations, retention, and also mental health for our adults. We forget about that. Our adults who are teaching our students every single day, are there issues that we need to help them with? And so we're working on that feverishly. And I know that that's going to turn out to be a great department. We have fantastic people working in that department as it is, but we want to kind of do a redo on the HR department and really come out in a way that really helps our existing staff, particularly as well with customer service and helping them when they call into our school district, that we can help them right off the bat, whether it be whatever it might be, mental health or a salary question or a benefits question. And so I know she's going to do a fantastic job, but I wanted to let you know that we do have a person now, and we are moving in the right direction, and we can't wait to see how our HR department is going to turn out over the next few months. So with that, I'm finished.
Well, thank you. Could you touch on the mask policy and the directive that was sent out from the governor, and how that does or does not affect the school district?
Yes.
I have Mr. Duggan.
Yes. So I think, as everyone knows, our mask policy expires June 30th. And I know everyone has read the mask policy, understands the mask policy, but it does expire on June 30th. And I know the governor came out with some information just recently. And if you would, Mr. Duggan, if you could just walk us through what the governor's information tells us.
Okay, so yesterday, Governor DeSantis
Push your mic. Okay.
Yesterday, Governor DeSantis issued 2 executive orders, 2101 and 2102. Now, neither of those executive orders impact the school board's mask policy that was enacted through the regular process that expires on June 30th. So they don't have an impact on that. They arguably have an impact on that policy after that, and we'll have to do some logistical planning this summer about what's going to happen for next year, but those executive orders don't impact the rest of the school year this year.
And that's because one of them goes to city and county governments, and the other one has to do with policies after July 1st?
One of them goes towards city and municipal and counties. so it doesn't apply to us. And the other one applies to policies enacted by emergency order and does not become effective until July 1st. So because our policy was enacted through the regular process, and it doesn't apply, and even if it did apply, it wouldn't be effective until 7/1.
Thank you. And we also discussed at a workshop, in order to change a policy, we have to bring it before at a workshop it, come up with the language, bring it before the board, for the board to vote on it, and then it would have to be advertised for 30 days before it become effective. And in reality, school would be over by the time we did that. So there is no direction at this time for any of us to do any of that, because the policy will expire on its own. With that, we have one card for Speaker Thomas
Madam
Stike.
Chair, if I may.
Oh,
I know that you were asking earlier if the Department of Health would be on the line, and every month I try to make sure they're on the line. So I didn't know if you had any questions, but Michael Drennan is on the line in case you had a question.
Oh, well, perhaps we could get some input from him on what steps we should take regarding setting up vaccinations at any of our schools, and what the prospect is for extending it to 12 to 16-year-olds. I know they're talking about that. So perhaps if he could.
Mr. Drennan, are you on the line? Oh, there you are.
Yes, sir, I am here.
Yes. Shirley Brown had a question. Go ahead, Shirley.
Yes.
In the paper, you've said that you'd like organizations to come forward and help you with the vaccination. And I think we have, students and then their parents, I think, that will need vaccinations. And if there's something we could do to help you facilitate that, what do we need to do? And I know you've held 2 for students already. Do you know how many students actually partook of those?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I want to think it is somewhere between about 350 and 500 that took advantage of that.
Is that the one?
2 days that the 2 different weekends that we offered the vaccine.
Great. And what would we need to do to set up, working with you, a site to have vaccinations?
So obviously we can have conversations with Jody. I'll tell you, in anticipation of the Pfizer vaccine being approved for 12 and over, we've already started looking at, internally, the health department, how best do that, whether or not working with the schools and doing something at one of the school locations, or doing something one of our clinics that's already standing, or another site. So we will be in touch with Jody and his team to figure out how best to pull that off, or to arrange that's most convenient and conducive to families in the community.
Yeah, one thing that's important, that we cannot vaccine a child without a parent present, correct?
That is correct.
And perhaps.
So there's a permission, there's permission slips that we can do, but we have to have the parent present in the situation.
And when we give the child a vaccine, can the parent also get one at the same time?
Now the vaccine, the 16 and over, yes. So as we offer those clinics, we will do parents as well if they haven't been vaccinated already. And we'll just have to see, determining on the vaccine availability that we have. We know we have sufficient enough of the Moderna vaccine to vaccinate anyone over the age of 18. We want to make sure we have enough of the Pfizer if we're going to offer 12 and above. We don't want to, not have enough to do all the adolescents that want the vaccine, leave anyone out. We want to make sure we get everyone we can.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Ziegler?
Thank you. Thank you, Michael, for joining us again. For a point of clarification, I saw the notification sent out from the Department of Health, not through Sarasota County Schools, that I understood that there was a walk-up option for, I believe it was 16 and over. That was not during a school day. That was not sponsored by the school district. Is that correct? I just want to make sure accurate information is out there.
That is correct. I believe we did that 2 Saturdays ago, and then this previous Saturday. The first round, we did just do 16 and 17-year-olds. We just want to make, as I said earlier, we know we have enough Moderna vaccine to vaccinate any adults that want it. We just wanted to make sure we were managing our Pfizer vaccine to get as many in the 16 and 17 that wanted it. And I believe we are looking to plan another one of those clinics for 16 and 17-year-olds here shortly, but also looking at 12 and over as well in anticipation that will be approved either by the end of this week or early next week.
And where are those held, those clinics?
We've been doing those in conjunction with our mall site, the 16 and 17-year-old locations. But as I said, in anticipation of the approval for 12 and over, and knowing that parents will have to be present and the permission slip process, we may be looking to do something a little different, just to be more convenient and conducive.
Okay, and then those are sponsored by but so, and again, just out of respect for the management, I think it's great however we can optimize the access for those who want it. I just want to, again, stress extraordinary caution. If it's at a school district site, I would hope that that would be something discussed for minors, and I understand what the protocol is for the Department of Health.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
But as
we
far
would never do something at a school site without complete cooperation and input from the district.
Well, those are the words I like to hear. I just want it on the record, so thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Edwards?
Hey, Michael. I've had some pushback and questions about the quarantining distance. So I was just hoping you can give some clarification as to why we're still imposing a 6-foot distance versus a 3-foot distance.
So, yes, sir. So the CDC's guidelines say that individuals in the school setting can be within 3 foot of each other from a social distancing standpoint, and that that risk is minimalized in that distance. With that being said, the quarantine guidance by the CDC still says that anyone within 6 foot of a confirmed case would need to be quarantined. So even though the 3-foot distance is in place for social distancing, the 6-foot distance is in place for the quarantine exposure process.
Thank you.
I understand that
Yes, sir.
most of the students that have been contract traced, have not been affected. They do not come down with it. I mean, how much longer, probably till the end of the year, will we have to continue doing this? Contract tracing?
I would have guessed that would at least be to the end of the school year. I have not heard any discussion within the health department, from a central office level, talking about stopping the contact tracing or case investigation process, at least in the near future. So I would say at least to the end of the school year, we will be doing quarantine and isolation processes.
Thank you. Any other?
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you for being there and partnering with us on this, and I look forward to the day where we don't have you on every time we have a board
Everybody
meeting.
does.
And I know we all are looking forward to that day. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Okay, now each speaker, we're at hearing of citizens now. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to speak. When the timer flashes yellow, that means you've got 1 minute left. Please summarize. And when the buzzer or the red light goes on, please stop. And there'll be a respect for divergent viewpoints and civility at every board meeting. Whether you agree or disagree, you should be listening politely and respectfully without making sounds of approval or disapproval, including clapping. We're here to listen to you. It's not a time for debate, and the board will not take any formal action on your comments unless comments relate to an agenda item. If your comments relate to non-agenda items, the board may refer the matter to staff for a report prior to the board's next meeting. The board is committed to civility and decorum at the conduct of its meetings. Please assist us in maintaining a civil and constructive meeting environment by confining your comments to the issues and from refraining from intemperate or rude remarks. And first up, we have Thomas Sykes.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Dr. Asplin, school board members, and staff and administration. I am here this evening. My name is Tom Sykes, and I'm representing Defend Florida. We're over 20,000 strong now across the state and growing every week. We're here as a watchdog group. We're going to be looking after and watching every elected body across the state of Florida, and we're interested in taking our country back. And I'll address tonight just on comments. On April the 14th of 2021 this year, all Florida public school superintendents received a letter from Commissioner Richard Cochran to drop mask mandates for next year. Commissioner Cochran is directing school districts to change mandated masks to be voluntary, a decision that will be the choice of the parents, the legal guardians, and not school administration. The commissioner states that district mandates do not impact the spread of the virus. Per Commissioner Cochran, face coverings are a personal decision, and certainly families and individuals should maintain their ability to make a decision that is unique to their circumstances. Cochran's letter reads, broad sweeping mandatory face covering policies serve no remaining good at this point in our schools. Sarasota County currently has and enforces mask mandate. This is the problem for parents, teachers, and administrators, as it affects most of our most precious assets, our children. And you ask, well, how do masks impact our community? It's a great question, and thank you for asking. There are limited amounts of historical data and studies on adverse effects for children for long-term use of masks. However, just released in January of this year, 2021, there's a new study available, a new study involving over 25,000 school-aged children shows that masks are harming our school children physically, psychologically, and behaviorally, revealing 24 distinct health issues associated with wearing masks. The health issues and impairments observed in this study were found to affect 68% of the masked children who are forced to wear face coverings for an average of 4.5 hours per day. The study also includes 17,854 health complaints submitted by parents. Some of the health issues found in the study include increased headaches, 53% of the students, difficulty concentrating, 50%, and a quarter of the children developed new fears. Raising our children with fear, headaches, and loss of concentration in schools, how can that not adversely affect our community? How can this mask mandate possibly enhance the learning experience? Enough words. It's time to end the mask mandate and make it voluntary. You have a choice.
Thank you. Did you say you were with Defend Florida?
Yes, ma'am. Defend Florida.
Thank you. Next up is David Wetzel.
They can warn me. Hello. My name is David. I am here not only as a member of the Sarasota community, I'm a member of the healthcare community. I'm a registered nurse for the state of Florida. And I'm also here, most importantly, as a concerned father of 2 daughters in the elementary school system. So let me start by, Dr. Asplin, you said that you have somebody coming in to revamp your customer service, which I think is great, because today I spent a majority of my day calling the Sarasota School Board, and I was dismissed several times. And I was told that the new executive order doesn't apply to us, and it was all very rude and pretty much a waste of my day trying to contact the very people who are in charge of taking care of my daughters that are in elementary school. What a great speech that he just said. Like, you have the power to, I know that Ms. Brown just said that you don't have the power to end the mandate, and Mr. Duggan, I hope I said it right, he said that the executive orders don't apply to the Sarasota County School Board. You know, I took the liberty of printing out the mask mandate so that I could read it. And I brought the last page that says the basis of the policy. So the basis of the mask mandate for Sarasota County is this policy is based upon the fact that the state of Florida has been under a declared state of emergency because of the COVID-19 pandemic. On May 3rd at 12:56 p.m., Governor DeSantis said we are no longer under a state of emergency. So the basis of this policy is void. The basis of your mask policy on your website is void. We're not under a state of emergency anymore. How can we have a policy that has no basis? I know you can't answer my question, but hopefully you're thinking, oh, wow, he's making sense. And I hope I am too. So your student rep earlier said that she's every day focusing so hard to try to make it normal while she tries to power through and keep it positive. But I'm telling you, you have the power to make it just a smidge more normal for the last 30 days of school. Just take the masks away. Tell the students that it's optional. Tell the principals that it's optional. Just let them take the mask off. Let it be normal for 30 days, the remainder of this school year. Mental Health Awareness Month, and he just kind of set me up for that. We're creating mental health problems for our student during Mental Health Awareness Month when we could just snap our fingers and say no more masks in a policy that has no basis anymore, right? Based on your wording on your policy, there's no basis for this policy anymore. I'll end it with saying that I did ask someone, and once again, everybody just quoted the policy over and over again. If I send my kids to school with no mask, will they be denied an education? And the response I got was, we'll give them a mask. And if they don't want to wear the mask, they can do online school. So the people who are in charge of taking care of my children would just send them home with online schooling because I don't want them to wear a mask anymore. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Next one, I don't have I believe the name is Carrie. Is it Carrie Wetzel? Or?
I'm actually Walsh, because, you know, women. He pretty much covered everything that I wanted to say. And you said, Shirley, that there was no reason to change anything. But we've had a lot of information for a really long time. And as a very angry mother, I am ashamed that you all didn't do something sooner. Okay, you have to put something in the newspaper and then you have to vote on it. But you guys had power to do something sooner. And you chose not to. I'm working really closely with a lot of high school teachers making goodie bags for students who are thinking about killing themselves every day. And I don't know how you sleep at night knowing you are contributing to that mental health just falling apart at the seams. We're supposed to be here to pick our students up. We're supposed to set up the next generation, and you have failed them. I pray for you. Every night I pray for you that your hearts would change and that you would have some compassion for these kids. And just know you're on notice. We are coming for your jobs. We are setting it up so that we can run for elected officials because you all do not deserve the right or the overwhelming, amazing job of taking care of our kids in this community. Shame on you.
Thank you. That's the end of the citizens' input. Now we have additions or corrections to the agenda. Superintendent?
Yeah, and as an addendum was added to item number 9, the instructional classified personnel report.
Do I have a motion?
I move for approval of the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Please vote. Is that 5-4? 5. The motion passes 5-0. Next, were there any comments on that? I see no items pulled for comment. New business, item 41. Do I have a motion?
I move the request from legal counsel to schedule private meeting for advice concerning settlement negotiations and/or strategy sessions related to litigation expenditures in Jimenez-Ruiz versus SBSC pursuant to Florida Statute 286.01 286.011 8.
Second.
Please vote. Any comment?
If I may for just a moment, this is a statutory process and we are required to ask you for this permission. So I am asking that you vote in favor of setting a private meeting so that we can discuss litigation strategy regarding that particular lawsuit.
Thank you. Please vote.
5-0.
The motion passes 5-0. Next item 42. Can I have a motion?
I move for approval of the organizational changes and related job descriptions for the 2021-2022 school year as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second for conversation purposes.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. We are now on discussion. Mr. Duggan? Was that prior? Never, I didn't. Karen?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say a few pieces about this before I put forth my vote. I want to be clear that we are in the process of creating a strategic plan to be completed sometime in the fall. Is that correct, Dr. Asplund?
Yes, ma'am.
And I am certainly advocating that our new superintendent, who I have great confidence in, have the opportunity to reorganize. And that reorganization can be anything from moving staff around to the right seat on the bus, so to say, to reorganizing certain levels. The point at which that I can't support is in lieu of the needed resources in our schools, actually noted today in the workshop for mental health, needed mental health for middle school positions and high school positions. I cannot support the addition of new added administrators at the district office. Looks like 8 new administrators. So for that reason, I will not be able to support this.
Ms. Goodwin?
Well, you know, so some superintendents come in and they start making changes right away, like momentarily. Our superintendent did not do that. He came in and really in a thoughtful way has gotten to know our district and spend time on the issues. I have been of the opinion for a very long time that, you know, we did not have the right number of administrators at the landings to do the job. And I can cite many departments where I really feel that that is the case. I am going to support this. Knowing that we are working on our strategic plan. It should be completed in August, but also that we have a new executive in the Human Resource Department, which is a department that has given me pause for a great number of years. And so I am, with reservation, going to support this, knowing that this may be tweaked, this may be changed, this may be moved around. So I am approving it with some reservation in that I think that we may have to make a few tweaks to it over the next few months, but I am in support.
Ms. Ziegler?
Thank you very much. So, I would echo the aspect of the fact that Dr. Asplund or any superintendent certainly has in their right the positions to reorganize. And I do recognize that not only did he arrive during a pandemic and when which education instruction was provided in a very different way, but there was time and thought as he evaluated things, and there were a number of challenges that I believe he had to face. So for me, I have concern about a couple things. So from an oversight standpoint. One is noted, well, first I'll start on the positive. I am thrilled that HR in that position is filled. I believe that is a incredibly imperative, very important position in our district. Human capital really is what makes or breaks our ability to be successful. And that is a very large, wide-reaching position. So I understand that there are certainly positions that need to be filled, and there are some things that just can't wait. So what I'll say is, from a leadership standpoint, there are times in which decisive action needs to be taken, and you can't vacillate because the downsides are too dramatic. At the same time, I flip over to we're aligning to the strategic plan, and what gives me probably most pause is in addition to the current circumstances and challenges that are being worked through as it pertains to our special education or exceptional education, student education department, then that's one area where we have added an additional executive director position. And again, this is not anything on the individuals, it's the structure. And for me, I believe that that warrants more discussion, particularly in a transparent way, whether we workshop it or what have you, just so there's clarity around that for not only the board, but also for the public. In addition, I would agree that I'd like to see us align some of these positions or changes, especially when we, as we look at our strategic plan and focus as a board on what we want to hit, put those goals into place so that you can achieve that. And of course, that's, supplemented by, the budgetary components to it. So it is for all of those reasons that I cannot support it. I do look forward to future discussions. I want to see that we have thoughtful, strategic approach and resources put forward so we can accomplish our goals, but there are just a couple areas of concern, so that is why I cannot support it.
I am remiss by taking us into a discussion. I guess we're debating the motion now, but I did not give Dr. Asplen a chance to present why he brought this forward. I know we had a zero-based budgeting, and you had your departments go through some exercises. Could you maybe shed some light on why you're making some of these changes?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. So you're right. In coming in and really getting to know what's going on in the district, I mean, that was the first priority. I also want you to know another priority coming in the door was to cut district budget by 5%, which we did. With all of these changes, we still cut the budget by $1.5 million. So yes, we have some other administrators here, but we still cut the budget by $1.5 million. And in those changes, as far as those managers are concerned in ESE and student services, I understand. I do. I get it. More administrators. There's always a question around that. I will tell you that if you look at other districts, you're going to find a lot more administrators in their org charts, and I'm trying to not add more, but I invite you to look at others. But I will say that I know that we're all trying to work together. We're all trying to do the right thing here for our students and for our departments and our employees. And my thinking behind the ESE student services split, and what I did was we have an executive director who is the executive director of pupil services. And that person had ESE, all of ESE, the nurses, the preschool, fiddlers, which is professional development across 3 school districts, our MTSS piece, all of our school psychologists, our mental health piece, just a lot on our plate. On top of that, we had our ESE directive from the DOE, which we are working feverishly through and doing a really good job, by the way. So I felt like I needed to split that apart, have an executive director of student services, and that executive director of student services would be handling the mental health piece, the preschool piece, which is going to be huge in our strategic plan. The mental health piece is going to be huge in the strategic plan. Also, the nurses, this person would be in charge of all the nurses in our school district. And so I felt like there were 86 people in that, and they needed an executive director just for student services. And then I felt like we needed just the one executive director for ESE. So splitting those 2 departments so that we could really try and work hard on each one of them. And like I said, with ESE, yes, there's a lot to do, and we are working on it. And one of the things that I think we really needed was also to have these 2 managers, one for the north and one for the south. And those 2 managers would oversee those particular schools in the north and the south and work with the principals and assistant principals and the ESE liaisons to make sure that we're being proactive at the school level, working with the IEP teams, working on the IEPs, making sure we're providing accommodations, all the needs for the students, working on training. We need training for our teachers, and we don't have enough people to train our teachers. These managers are going to help us with that. And then also the three managers in the student services area, which have to do with mental health, thought it was very important to split that up into thirds. As those mental health, as we talked about in the board workshop, you know, again, trying to be proactive, working just above the school level to help our principals and our assistant principals and our teachers to provide the resources they need, the training they need, trying to be proactive and so on. I think that's very important, especially, you know, after everything we talked about with mental health. And I know at the school site, I am in 100% agreement. At the school site, we need to provide the resources and the capital human resources at each school site to help us in these areas. I do know that. In looking at the schools, the other thing that we did, and this all goes together, so in looking at the schools, when we were staffing the schools, one of the things I talked to the principals about was, look, it's going to look like you're going to have less people, and here's why. We are going to strictly look at the formula, the class size formula, because I think we have overstaffed some schools over the years. And if we overstaff our schools by one person and we have 50 schools, that's like $3 million. One person at each school. That's $3 million right there. So we need to look very closely at our staffing, and that's what we did. And the principals were on board, and we looked at that, and we staffed them using our formulas at class size. And then we said, for the second level, we'll come back and look at your high needs, your at-risk needs, so that we just don't have people at the schools because they've been there for 5 years. We need to fill your slots by the need that you might have. And the needs might be different at different schools. So I just didn't want to give everybody an interventionist, for instance, because you might not need one. I want to know what you need. And so we've worked very closely with principals to find out what they need. Overwhelmingly, they have said they need behavior specialists. Okay, and I agree with that 100% because I am going to have the assistant principals be in charge of their ESE unit at their school because we need more compliance and oversight at the school. These behavior specialists will be able to take some work off of the assistant principals so that they can work more closely on the ESE piece. And so we're looking at the behavior specialists, trying to figure out how we're going to pay for that. And I talked to Mitzi Corcoran, our CFO, just recently to find out, how are we going to do this? How can we use the CARES Act money to do some of this? And so that's what we're looking at. We're looking at behavior specialists or behavior technicians, and also interventionists who can help us by having small group instruction at our schools. Some of that might be even contract employees, not hiring straight up employees. And so using some of those dollars for that purpose. And so trying to work both ends of that at the same time and have compliance in these departments, especially in these departments, we need to make sure we're helping our students and our teachers and helping our school sites. Resources are huge. I keep hearing it. I met with a group of ESE teachers. It was an ESE committee that we put together. And they've said it over and over. We need training. We need resources. We need to look at. So I'm meeting with them again. We're going to continue meeting to make sure that they have what they need at their schools. But once we do that, we need people right above the school level who can handle and be proactive with all of the problems that might arise so we can handle that. Have win-win situations with parents. Have win-win situations with students. The customer service will be there. We don't have gaps. We're not falling through the cracks. So we need to make sure that that's happening. So it all kind of goes together. And again, as you said, Bridget, and I think Karen, we have the strategic plan coming, and you are right. We're going to have to come back after we write the strategic plan. We're going to have to come back and say, what else do we need to do to this? Or do we need to change something? And I'm very much all about that. But between now and September, October, we need to do something now in these areas, and I think this is what we need to do.
Thank you, Dr. Asplin. Being probably the longest serving, not probably, I am the longest serving school board member here, I remember those years where we had to go through cuts, and I think there's two separate times we had to go through cuts. And one thing we always did is we wanted to keep those cuts as far away from the classroom as possible. And what that meant is we were cutting administrators, we were cutting from the landing staff when we could. And I'm glad you're just not filling those positions back up again. I'm glad that you have talked to our principals, our staff at the schools, finding out what it is they need, what it is they want, and also looking at knowing that we need to put some extra emphasis on ESE and mental health. I'm glad we're able to use some of the CARES Act dollars to do those, because they aren't recurring. I mean, so we'll see in a year or two, are we still going to be doing this? We're going to have to re-examine that. But at this time, for you to be putting emphasis on ESE, mental health and behavior specialist, I think that's a wonderful thing. And I think that you took that zero-based budgeting that we had been asking our previous superintendent for very seriously, and that you were able to go back to the schools and to all of our departments and ask for their cuts. Where do you want to cut? And frankly, I'm glad you didn't wait for us to come up with a strategic plan, because there's been a lot of things to do. I think you know some of the things that need to be done, and you're not waiting for us to tell you. You are out there doing, and I think addressing some of those major issues that are facing us. And I know that some of these things can happen later on. I worked with you, talked to you as you were making these changes, and a lot of them, what you did is you folded two positions into one, so that we've got an administrator over here, but that was two positions over here. I mean, so they were folding them together and giving them more authority over here. I mean, this isn't costing us more. We're not taking money out of the classroom. We are putting money more, I believe, more proactively into our staff here to go out and help our schools. And I'm glad you've done that. I'm glad you went to those schools. I'm glad you talked to the departments before you came up with this, and that you're willing to work with us when we do the strategic plans if we want to look over these things. And I'm glad the time that we had to talk about that. Mr. Edwards.
So, when I got on board, it was a few months after Dr. Asplund got here. And so what I've seen is just a tremendous amount of reactive behavior, just reacting to every situation that comes up in the school on an ongoing basis, a lot of which had to do with COVID. My observation, which I've shared with Dr. Asplund a lot, is I see extraordinary teachers, staff, employees, administrators, and I'm talking extraordinary, but I see that they're at capacity or over capacity. It's very hard to get an appointment with anyone because they're all busy and they're running 1,000 miles an hour. And if you're building a business like I've done twice, you have to understand productivity and capacity and length of productivity at that high rate of capacity. Because what we have right now is an exceptional culture. People go above and beyond the call of duty every single time, but you do that for years running, they'll burn out. And what's going to happen to the culture is it'll become good enough instead of exceptional. And I mean, these are conversations that are no secret that I have had with Dr. Asplund. And so when I say that he's made wise investments, two departments that I think are key, and I heard them mentioned here. HR, one, seriously broken. Had nothing to do with him. He got here, it was broken, it's understaffed, it's all kinds of problems in there. Number two, we have an ESE problem. And he's gone in there to the best of his ability to try and figure out how to do this in the most cost-effective way. But here's the kick for me. You make those wise investments, and I'm okay with that. We got to have outcomes. We've got to have goals. We've got to have results. So that's where I'm coming from. I understand his program. I understand he's making strategic investments. I'm all on board, but I want to see the results.
Yes, thank you. I just want to mention, as the longest standing educator on the board, that my emphasis has been and will continue to be in the classroom, in front of our students, and what resources that we can provide, and that is my priority, has been, and will continue to be. And that if we look and we need to add positions to the district office, my thoughts are that those positions are as they are in our curriculum department, specialists that indeed can provide training. Our specialists in their field can go into that classroom, partner with that teacher, model for that teacher, and provide all the things that we're talking about. And this isn't a lack of confidence in you, Dr. Asplund. I think that you come with incredible credentials and an incredibly strong academic background, and I support that. But I cannot support the addition of, in addition to promoting people, which I'm not touching, into higher administrative positions, I cannot support not only adding 8 additional administrators, but writing a grant for $750,000, and that grant is going towards administrators. That how much are they going to touch students as compared to a specialist? And Again, I just want to reiterate, I think that we have fantastic staff at the district office, but I've got to stay true to our teachers and our classrooms. And I really think if we would have workshopped this, it would have provided a lot more clarity. Thank you very much.
Ms. Goodwin? Ms. Goodwin?
Well, I don't have as long on the board as you do, but you're older than me anyway, so that's only fair.
Let's get out those birth certificates.
I did get on the board in 2010, and we had a study done by an outside organization in 2012, and one of the first things they told us in the study is you don't have enough administrative staff. And we never did anything about it. Why? Because we were going through recessions, we were going through pain, and there was a common thing that Lori White always said, we're cutting to the bone. And I remember our saying that over and over again, we're cutting to the bone. And we're not doing it in the classrooms, we're doing it outside the classrooms. But it catches up after a while. And if I ask any of these administrators sitting out here, they would probably agree with me. It catches up after a while. And the areas that it's caught up with the most are mental health and ESE, and human resources, of course. But the one thing that impacts a teacher more than anything else is when students act up, or students have problems, or students cause her not to be able to react and teach those other students. And that's happening a lot. And her time is being taken up with those things that perhaps others can help her with. And I know that our staff, our internal staff in pupil support services, works their fingers to the bone. And they have been doing that from time and time again. And my heart goes out to them because I know how hard they work, and I know what a tough job it is. But I think these changes are going to help that. I think they're going to reach down into the classroom. I think we're going to be working in the classroom with these teachers, helping them to solve those problems. Kids can't learn if they're having mental issues, if they're in a dark place, if they're coming from a family where they're not supported. And I think having these support structures in place with the people that I know are at the top, who I heartily believe are great champions for students, I think this will only bode well, and bode well for the classroom and for those students. And so I'm just saying again that I think we've got a lot of work to do, but I think this gives us a beginning of a plan to do some of those things that we all want to do. And I'm really very supportive of this.
Mr. Edwards, you had something to add?
Yeah, I just want to add one thing. I respect Ms. Rowe's education and educator background enormously, and her insight is invaluable. But I just want to say that it's a collaborative process with collaborative backgrounds, and I don't know that just that anyone here isn't for teachers and isn't for students. So that having the education background doesn't just give you that ownership. I think everybody here has that ownership.
Thank you. Dr. Asplund, do you have anything to add?
The only other thing I wanted to add was that is correct. I agree as far as we should have workshop this, and frankly ran out of time. In looking at our org chart, our district level org chart, we have classified folks on here, and when we made changes, there were deletions, there were additions, and those things needed to occur now, because they are, some people, if they're surplus, we need to make sure they get them into another position. We need to make sure that they get the position that they need to get and not wait, and all of a sudden they lose that position. So time was of the essence. Next year, if and when we need to make any changes, I will be doing this in February, March, so that we can certainly workshop this and work through it and then come back. So I just want to say thank you for your patience on that.
Okay, please vote. And the motion passes 3-2. That concludes the business of the board. Our next monthly work session is scheduled for Tuesday, May 18th. A special board meeting is scheduled on May 18th at 2 p.m. to include an executive session. And the next regular board meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, May 18th at 3 p.m. Any comments from the board? Ms. Ziegler.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to end on a high note, because you mentioned the town halls, and I can't say enough how happy I am to see those be executed. It's something I'd love to see us continue with, at least on and I want it to be manageable, but quarterly. I think that particularly after this year, but even more so after the transitions that transpired in this amazing district that is filled with exceptional staff and families and students, that it was really well due time for people to speak their mind, get it off of their chest. I think it really gives us an opportunity to give insight to the variety of perspectives, and it was truly a listening opportunity. And for me, that allows us to really build goodwill and come together in a variety of areas. So I just wanted to thank you, and please express my appreciation and request that it be something that continues, and it was not only surrounded by the strategic plan. So thank you.
Ms. Goodwin.
I just wanted to say that our wonderful IT specialist, Jamal Guerrier, is still hospitalized, but is free of lots of tubes and things, and they're keeping him an extra day. I just got a message. They're keeping him an extra day, making sure that everything is okay before they dismiss him, hopefully, tomorrow. And good news.
Thank you. We're coming to the end of the state testing this week, or are there more? I know the fifth graders are going to be done this week. They're ongoing. We still have AP tests, all kinds of tests. So parents, make sure that your kids are getting rested and ready for those tests. And we're counting down the days. I know the teachers are for sure, and parents too. I don't think kids are looking forward to it, though. Do you think? But we're counting down the days to the end of our school. We will be running into the June 10th. So thank you, and our meeting is adjourned.